Am I the bad guy for telling my wife's family that they cannot cook turkey in our oven at Christmas? Every Christmas, my wife and I host her family at our home. With young kids, it just makes sense for them to be in a familiar environment, playing with their new toys all day. My wife and I are both vegetarians. And while we're not pushy about it, we do have strong feelings about the meat industry. Thankfully, most of her family shares our dietary choices. But her dad and brother are the exceptions. In previous years, they would cook the turkey at their place and then heat it up in our microwave, which we never used anyway. However, this year, our microwave broke on Christmas Day while my mother-in-law was warming up some cake. It fizzed and stopped working, and since it's integrated into the kitchen, replacing it isn't as simple as just buying a new one. When my father-in-law suggested cooking the turkey in our oven or at least heating it up there, I had to decline. I really didn't want our oven smelling like meat, and I offered that they could bring their own air fryer instead. Unfortunately, he wasn't thrilled with that idea and accused us of prioritizing our silly beliefs over the Christmas spirit. I tried to explain that we didn't mind them eating meat in our home. We just didn't want it cooked in our oven. As the situation escalated, I seriously considered buying a new microwave just to avoid further conflict. On Christmas Eve, my father-in-law called to apologize for how he had spoken to us. He acknowledged the effort we put into hosting and realized he should have respected our wishes. He ended up heating the turkey at home and enjoyed it with his dinner, and everyone had a lovely day. To add a humorous twist, he gifted us a small standalone microwave for Christmas, which got a few laughs from everyone. We might even use it for the occasional jacket potato. I was pleasantly surprised by the support I received from many people who understood our vegetarian perspective. However, I was also taken aback by a handful of individuals who felt it was appropriate to send abusive messages. It's disheartening that some people think all vegetarians are militant about their choices. In the end, I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. And while some may have thought I was in the wrong, it turns out my instincts were spot on. Thank you to those who offered kind words of support. And here's to a peaceful holiday season for everyone.
Am I the bad guy for not wearing the earrings my sister made on my wedding day? I come from a Native Alaskan family, and while my grandmother was shunned and didn't learn our traditional ways, my dad has been reconnecting with our culture through art. My sister, on the other hand, has fully embraced it and started a business making beautiful earrings. I'm incredibly proud of her. A few years ago, I moved to the Midwest and eventually met my husband. We tied the knot in September this year. Leading up to the wedding, my sister offered to make my wedding earrings as a gift, which I thought was a lovely idea. I told her I wanted something in white and silver, around a medium size, picturing reasonably sized dangling earrings. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it to the wedding, which I understood given the travel costs. 4 days before the big day, she sent me pictures of the earrings, and while they were stunning, I couldn't help but think they looked a bit large. I decided not to voice my concern, as I was deep into wedding planning and figured it was too late for her to change anything. On the wedding day, my mom brought the earrings, and my heart sank when I saw them in person. They were enormous. I hoped they wouldn't look so big when I wore them, but as I tried them on, I realized they were too heavy and long. I couldn't even turn my head without adjusting them because they kept catching on my shoulders. I felt terrible knowing my sister had put so much effort into them, and I was worried about hurting her feelings. My best friend suggested I incorporate the earrings into my bouquet so they could still be with me, and I thought that was a great compromise. The wedding itself was amazing, but when I finally checked my phone later, I saw messages from my sister. She was upset and asked if I didn't like them to send them back, mentioning that there were people back home who would be interested in them. I apologized and tried to explain that while they were gorgeous, they were just too heavy for me to wear. The conversation ended with her saying to do whatever with them, but things felt tense between us. After the wedding, I attempted to apologize multiple times, but her responses were always short and distant. I decided to return the earrings after a gift-giving session, along with a flower from our wedding. The atmosphere shifted from tense to quiet, and a few minutes later, I noticed the flower discarded in the hallway. I couldn't shake the feeling that my sister had made the earrings more for her business than for me, and I felt misunderstood as a minimalist person. I wanted to feel comfortable and true to myself on my wedding day. Now, I'm left questioning if I was in the wrong for not wearing them. Did I hurt her feelings unnecessarily? Am I the bad guy in this situation?
Am I the bad guy? I overheard my mom and sister talking trash about my wife. I want to confront or cut them off. I'm still processing a shocking experience that happened on Christmas Eve. We were at my family's home, and my wife decided to take a break and go for a walk to her mother's house, which is just a mile or two away. I needed a moment to myself too, so I went into the garage. The door was slightly cracked, and I could hear my mother and sister talking. What I overheard left me feeling confused and upset. For about 10 minutes, they went on about my wife and even threw in some comments about me. Their criticisms ranged from the way she looked at the moon and smiled to how she holds her coffee cups with both hands. They mocked her for wearing holiday-themed earrings and for having a braid decorated with colorful string, calling it tacky. They even criticized her thrift store outfits, which I thought were charming. At dinner, they discussed a weight loss medication they were on and were offended when my wife expressed that she was happy with her weight. They made comments about her eating habits and even gagged at the thought of how much she ate. It was shocking to hear them say things like she should lose 20 pounds and that she seemed pretentious for wanting to be herself. They also ridiculed her for reading over 100 books in a year, questioning if she had any friends because she always carries a book in her purse. They even took jabs at her Kate Spade bag, which I had gifted her, and made comments about her natural nails, suggesting she should wear fake ones. I was stunned. I never knew they felt this way about her, and it made me question if I had been oblivious to their attitudes. I left the garage abruptly and headed to my mother-in-law's house to be with my wife. Later, I asked my wife if my family had ever made her feel uncomfortable, and she hesitated before mentioning that my sister might have anonymously harassed her about a celebrity. She didn't have proof, so she never brought it up. I didn't tell my wife everything I overheard, at least not yet. I'm still trying to figure out how to handle this situation. I understand that everyone is entitled to their opinions, but it saddens me that my family would say such hurtful things about someone who has always wanted to be part of our family. Now, I'm contemplating whether I should confront my mother and sister. I want to express my disappointment in their behavior and let them know how hurtful their words were. If I do that, I feel compelled to tell my wife that I overheard some things that disgusted me, but I'm unsure how to approach it without causing her more pain. It's a tough position to be in, and I'm still trying to process everything.
Jobs in or near Madison with health insurance within 3 months of hire? I recently found myself in a tough situation. After moving to Madison just 7 months ago, I was working at a small locally owned business when I received an email that turned my world upside down. The owners informed me that they would be cutting off my health insurance effective November 1st due to not meeting a 35-hour work requirement. Ironically, I was scheduled for 37 hours a week, and I had only missed a couple of days, which were approved vacation time. It felt like retaliation, especially since I had just reported a significant paycheck discrepancy. With my health condition, being without insurance was not an option. I needed to find a new job quickly, ideally one that offered health insurance within 3 months of hire. I had a degree in IT and several years of experience in customer service sales, and even healthcare. I started applying everywhere: Quick Trip, Amazon, Costco, Walmart, and more. I even received callbacks from Amazon and Costco, but the offers weren't ideal. Amazon wanted me to work the night shift, which I was hesitant about. As I navigated this job search, I was fortunate that my supervisor at my old job was supportive. He understood my situation and allowed me to leave for interviews whenever I needed. One day, while playing games at Misty Mountain Games, I met the owner, who had previously asked if I could work a couple of nights a week. When I explained my situation, he offered me a full-time position with health insurance if I agreed to join his team. I couldn't believe my luck. This job not only paid more than the other offers I had, but also provided health insurance without the long wait. The owner even backdated my insurance start date, which was a huge relief. I felt incredibly grateful for the support I received from the community and the reassurance that came from my job search. In the end, I found a position that not only met my financial needs, but also provided me with better insurance and paid time off. I was overwhelmed by the kindness of those who offered suggestions and job listings during my search. As I reflect on this experience, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for the help I received. Happy holidays to everyone who supported me through this challenging time.